All right, well, hello, fifth graders. We're looking today, it's talking about move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the right, move the decimal in the dividend the same number of places, put the decimal straight up, divide. Well, what in the world are we talking about here? Well, today our focus is going to be introducing division where there's decimals in both problems. Up to this point, the divisor, the number we're dividing by, has always just been a whole number. It has not had a decimal. So we are looking at this idea. And so I want you to write this down, take a screenshot, pause the video and write it down, whatever you need to do. But I'm going to read this one more time, but I want you to take the time to make sure that you get this somewhere where you can look at it as we're doing the problems. So this is dividing decimals with decimals in both numbers. Step 1, move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the right. Step 2, move the decimal in the dividend the same number of places. Step 3, put the decimal straight up. Step 4, divide. Well, how does that apply to specifically what we're doing today? Well, this first part, we're going to have some basic problems. Let's start with 1 5/10 divided by 5. Well, once you start to do this, the idea is hopefully you can see it mental math. But the way this should look is 5/10 going into 1 5/10. Now, step 1 told me to move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the right. So we're moving that one place. That number became 5. Step 2 told you to move the decimal in the dividend the same number of places. So I move this decimal one spot. I move that decimal one spot. So this one has to go all the way to the right. Sometimes it might be 1, sometimes it might be 2, 3, who knows. But how many ever times I move this one, I move this one the same amount. So since that one got moved once, this one gets moved once. That new number becomes 15. It simply just becomes 15 divided by 5. Well, I know that 15 divided by 5 equals 3. All right, well, here's one. We're going to take 6 hundredths, and we're going to be putting that into 2.4 or 2 4/10. Well, step 1 tells me to move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the right. 1, 2, that number becomes 6. If I move this one 2 spots, I have to move this one 2 spots. I have an empty spot here. That's going to become a 0. This number has become 240. So it essentially becomes 240 divided by 6. Well, that's a mental math problem. If I think of it as 240 divided by 6, 24 divided by 6 is 4. There's no zeros to cancel out here, so this one has to become part of my answer. My final answer is 40. One more basic fact, okay? So there's another way you can think about it. If you don't want to write it long ways, understand that the second number is the divisor, because this is 63 hundredths divided by 7 hundredths. The number we're dividing by is the divisor. Well, we're dividing by 7 hundredths. So I'm moving that decimal all the way to the right. Once that decimal is moved all the way to the right, I take that and I move this one all the way to the right because it's 2 spots. This dividend isn't necessarily all the way to the right. I just move it all the way to the right because it was 2 spots. This one I moved 2 spots. It became divided by 7. This one I moved 2 spots. It became 63. Well, 63 divided by 7 equals 9. They both equal 9. It's just moving the decimals to find it numbers that we can work with. All right, let's actually get into some long things here. So, some longer things here. This is 6/10 divided by 15 hundredths. Well, as always, I'm going to take the decimal and I'm going to move it all the way to the right in my divisor. So that's going to become 15. This decimal, since this one got moved twice, this one has to get moved twice. Empty spot, becomes a 0. It becomes 60 divided by 15. Well, I know that 15 can round to 20, so I'm going to use the smaller number 2. This is what we were doing yesterday now. I know that 2 can go into 6 3 times, so the first thing I'm going to try is 15 times 3. Well, 3 times 5 is 15. Put the 5 down, carry the 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus the 1 is 4. I get 45. Well, I'm not so sure about that. So that might be too small. So I'm going to go ahead and try 15 times 4. Well, 4 times 5 is 20. Put the 0 down, carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 is 6. I get 60. I like that better. So I put a 4 above the 0 to say that 15 can go into 60 4 times. 15 times 4 is 60. 60 minus 60 is 0. My final answer is 4. Well, here's one. 1 in 17 hundredths divided by 9 hundredths. Well, I move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the left. That number becomes 9. Or all the way to the right, sorry, not the left. I move this one 2 spots, so I move that one 2 spots. That number becomes 117. Now I just do 117 divided by 9. 9 cannot go into 1, but 9 can go into 11 one time. So I put my 9 above that second 1. Remember, it's very important where you put that. You put it above something else, you're saying that 9 can go into 1 or 9 can go into 117 one time. Needs to go over that 1 in the tens place to show that 9 can go into 11 one time. 1 times 9 is 9. 11 minus 9 is 2. Bring down the 7. Of course, we don't ever want to forget that. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. I believe that 9 can go into 27 3 times, and that 3 times 9 is 27, and 27 minus 27 is 0. I end up with 13, and I like that. No numbers left to bring down. All right, final one here. 1 in 7 tenths being divided by 85 hundredths. Well, once again, step 1 tells us to move the decimal in the divisor all the way to the right, so my 85 hundredths becomes 85. 1 in 7 tenths. 1, 2. There's an empty spot there. It needs to be filled with a 0. So this becomes 170. 85 gets rounded to 90. I'm going to use the smaller number 9. 9 can go into 17 once. I know that 85 times 1 is 85. That seems a good distance away from 170. So I'm just going to try 85 times 2 and see what I get. 2 times 5 is 10. Put the 0 down, carry the 1. 2 times 8 is 16. Plus the 1 is 17. I get 170. Well, that's what I like. And I want to make sure that my 2 goes above the 0 to show that 85 can go into 170 2 times. I've already established over here that 85 times 2 is 170. And with confidence, I can say that 170 minus 170 is 0. I get a final answer of 2. All right, that's an introduction, 5th grade, to decimals with division, where you have a decimal in both the dividend and the divisor. All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.